Welcome back to my channel, Next in Food. I am your diva chef, Simone Walker Barrett, and today I want to share with you my roti recipe. And that roti recipe is near and dear to my heart. It is called sweet potato roti. So let's just look at what you need if you're going to be making a roti. But before we look at the ingredients, a roti comes to us from the Indians. The Indians are known for making roti. This particular roti recipe, I created this out of necessity. At my training restaurant, at where I work, sometimes the customers say, oh, I'm tired of the rice and so on. And so one day we had a lot of potatoes and I decided to make the sweet potato roti. It is very, very simple if you pay attention to the very simple ingredients. So for the sweet potato roti, you are going to need 1 cup of mashed sweet potato. This was boiled and then I passed it through a little gadget called a ricer to make sure it is not lumpy. You will also need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, water to mix the dough together, and this is where it gets interesting. You need some instant yeast. This is 1 teaspoon of yeast and this is diluted in 1/4 cup of water. So now the yeast is nice and the test is showing that the yeast is very much alive. We also need some baking powder, oil for fat, and I have some melted butter that we're going to pass over the roti when we're cooking it. So let's get cooking our sweet potato roti. So I'm going to be adding flour, and by the way, I added 1/2 teaspoon of salt to this flour. Combine the flour and the sweet potato. I'm using a spatula, you can use a wooden spoon. And then I'm going to add my baking powder. Now I find that the yeast gives it a nice soft texture along with the baking powder, and that's why I added it. Sometimes roti can be very dry, but this one, even when it is cold, is still nice and soft, and that is why I love it so much. So I'm going to make a little well in the center, and I'm adding the yeast. Now I'm using instant yeast that could have been mixed in the flour, but because I had this yeast so long, I mixed it in water just to test how active it still is. You need a little fat, so you need a tablespoon of oil, and then we're going to just mix this into a dough. Making the dough is just like making a dumpling dough in terms of the feel. I'm gonna get my hand in there. I want to make sure that it's not dry, and you can only know that by putting your hand in. And just like when you're making dumpling, you want to add the liquid a little bit at a time. You don't want to add it too much, because if you add too much, it's going to be way too soft. So you want to feel it. This one needs a little bit more. Keep adding a little more, and I think this is the last amount. So let's put these out of the way. So this is what the dough is going to look like. It should feel not sticky, not soft. I'm going to put it on my board. But first, let me just wipe away this water. Put it on my board. And I like to put a little oil on it when I put it on the board. See that? And give it a few knead. I want to make sure that the flour and the potato is mixed in uniform proportion. You could use sweet potato or even breadfruit. Any starch is good for this, but I love the taste of the sweet potato. And so now I'm going to divide my dough, into 2-ounce balls. Don't worry if they're not exact. There we go. And I have 3, 6, 8 rotis. I'm going to shape them in a little circle and place them on a tray and allow them to relax. Whenever you're working with flour that has gluten in it, it's very important that you relax the dough, and that means just basically letting it rest for a while before you shape it into what you want the finish to look like. So again, however you make dumplings, I'm just rounding this out on my surface and putting them on a plate. Round into a ball. You could also round them in the palm of your hand like this, just like you're making a dumpling, whichever is most comfortable to you. I'm going to be adding just a little bit more oil. The oil helps it not to stick. And I have a tea towel that is wet, and I'm going to cover this, and I'm going to let this stand here for 15 minutes to relax the dough, after which I'll show you what it looks like, and then we're going to cook it and see what our finished roti looks like. So our potato roti dough has been resting for 15 minutes, and because of the yeast, you see they are nice and puffy and well relaxed. So what I'm going to do is roll them out on a light floured surface while I keep the remainder covered. So I'm just going to take one out. Put some flour on it. The flour prevents it from sticking too much, and just roll it out as big as you want it. I'm going to try and roll this to about 7 inches round. Don't worry if they're not perfectly round. You know, usually when you're rolling dough, you know, the first 2 or so always don't come out that perfect. Now I have my skillet over here preheated, and each time I roll, I'm going to put it in the pan to cook. How do you know when it is ready? You know when it is ready to turn because you start seeing the bubbles. You can also take a little peek at it. See that? That's what we're looking for, that nice crispness. Just want to make it brown up a little bit more, and then we're going to flip it over. But in the meantime, I want to have one ready to go. So I like to just roll it to the length that I want it, then give it a quarter turn, and then give it some width. Just like that. See that? I find this way very easy. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle, so I have this one to go in. So right here, before I turn it, I like to brush it with the melted butter. The butter helps to keep it moist. And just gently flip it over again. Rotis cook very, very quickly. They don't take long to cook, but because they're very thin. And I have my plate here ready. You want to always have everything that you need when you're cooking. And this one is ready. I'm going to take it out and put it on the plate. Keep it covered with a damp cloth. Then I have this one ready to go in. So it's that easy. So each time you put one in, you want to have one rolled out and ready to go when you take that one out. So again, I'm going to right, you don't want to waste all that ingredient and it doesn't come out right. For example, if you don't rest the roti for the 15 minutes, the finished product will not be the same. It will not be as soft and as airy as it needs to be. And this one is ready. I'm gonna put some, this is melted butter. Putting some melted butter on top before I flip it over. Just flip it over like so. And then we put a little bit more butter on this side. The butter is very important. It helps it to stay moist. And this one is ready. And so at this time, what I like to do is clean the pan. You want to clean the pan with a little paper towel because the dust from the flour will always cause it to get too brown in the pot. So you want to clean the pot in between, like in between every two that you cook, you want to use a paper towel and just wipe the pot clean. So I have my paper towel here handy and ready, and I am rolling. This is easy. This feeds a family of 4. My family is a family of 4, so it's 2 rotis per person. You could make them smaller, but I think this size is just perfect. Again, don't look for perfection. It's a roti. We're gonna tear it apart and dip it into our curry chicken and breadfruit. I did a curry chicken and breadfruit video. This is ready to flip over. Again, before you flip each roti, you want to give it a light brush with the melted butter. And also, you see how it is puffing up? That is telling us that it's going to be soft and airy inside. Let me just bring my plate a little bit closer. So this is the last roti. This one is ready to come out. Our rotis are all done. They're nice and soft from the potato and the yeast and the baking powder that we put in it. Now this is how I like to serve them. Just close it and fold it into a little triangle, and I'm gonna stock them on my board. So again, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I ask you to do so. Subscribe to my channel Next in Food for these delicious, yes, and they are in fact delicious, Jamaican inspired recipes. I did a video on coconut curry chicken with breadfruit. Curry chicken is great with roti. I do hope you try this recipe. So don't forget to subscribe to my video next in my... These rotis are excellent for freezing. So you can make a whole big batch and then you can freeze them. For freezing, I suggest you put them in a Ziploc bag. So let me show you how that is done. You're just going to hold them and fold the rotis in a half circle. Take your Ziploc bag, put it in the Ziploc bag. Make sure you get all the air out of the bag and close the bag. And you can freeze these for up to 3 months. Whenever you're ready to use them, you just take them out and just let them come back down to room temperature and just reheat them in your oven for a little bit or over a water bath. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Make this sweet potato recipe and share it with your family. Share it with me on Instagram at Next in Food, and also like, comment, share, turn your notification on so when I upload a new video you can be alerted. I am your diva chef Simone Walker Barrett, and I thank you so much for coming into my kitchen and learning how to make sweet potato roti with me. You take care. That's much better.